John Lusker of Lusk Archery Adventures. Series testing, successful hunting. Today I'm going to be testing another cool head by Trifecta. Man, they burst on the scene in recent years and have been producing some top-notch, top-tier broadheads. I've used them in the field a number of times. I've taken hogs with them. I even took a water buffalo with one of them in Argentina a couple of years ago. And now they've come out with a new one that I'm happy to test here today called the Tank Buster. And it's similar to one that they did before, but they've made some modifications to it. So I'm going to be testing it with my 2026 broadhead test process. And for a detailed description of that, please watch the video that I posted earlier this year called 2026 Broadhead Test Process. And it'll walk you through all the tests that I do and why I do them, how I quantify them, and so forth. A lot's changes here. So even if you're familiar with my testing, please check it out. It'll just catch you up to speed and we can move a lot faster as we go through the tests in the future. I'm going to be using my Elite Eon Compound bow for most of the shooting, but I'm also using my new Ravin LR XBow for the really high speed stuff. And I'm using Bishop Archery arrows for all the vertical bow shooting. Hey, let's zoom on in here, check out this Tank Buster, and then put it to the test. Here's a good look at the Tank Buster, 125 grain. Man, this is just a wicked looking broadhead. It's gone through a few different innovations and iterations over the last couple of years, and this is the present one in 2026, and it's the best so far. So let's start with the materials. Now in 2026, they have this titanium ferrule, and so you start with the titanium ferrule, and then the blades are 420 stainless steel. In terms of the dimensions, the cutting diameter of this is a whopping 1.5 inches. So to get a fixed blade with a cutting diameter of 1.5 inches, man, that's pretty rare, and that's really impressive. And then you've got this leading blade that's 1/2 inch. And so the total cut here on this one is 1.5 by 1/2, so 1 3/4 inches. The length beyond the end of the ferrule, you can see it's a blade over shaft design. The blades extend a little bit over the shaft, but from the end of the arrow, the length is 1.39 inches. So pretty short to have that big of a cut. The thickness of the blades is really impressive. The main blade is 0.080 inches thick. Wow. And then this leading blade, the smaller blade, is 0.060 inches thick. So also pretty thick. I mean, just this leading blade, kind of the bleeder, if you will, is thicker than the majority of main blades in fixed blade broadheads on the market. It's all single bevel. And I believe you can get it in left or right bevel. This is the right bevel, and it's got a 40-degree angle to the bevel to maximize the rotation as well as the durability. Sometimes the cost of that is it doesn't feel as sharp. It's a little bit harder to get super sharp, but I think it's a good trade-off. And of course, the leading tip is the same. It's a single bevel, so the rotation you're going to get, it begins with this front blade, but then it goes, it increases even more with the main blade. Both are single bevel. Some other features to note about this is with this new titanium ferrule, you have a modular design. With all their fixed blades, they use the same ferrule, and then you can interchange and mix and match and make all kinds of wicked different combinations there. So they have 4 different main blades. There's like this one, then there's a solid one of this, and then there's a 1 1/4 inch vented and a 1 1/4 inch solid, and then for the tip, there's the 1/2 inch tip, and then there's also a 1 inch tip. So you can make quite a few combinations based on your hunting setup, based on what animal you're going after. There's going to be something that really fits your needs there. And the cost of this is just $20 per head, which is pretty impressive for what you're getting: the titanium, the modularity, the different blades, the single bevel, and so forth. But I have a discount code that I've had for the last couple years with Trifecta. LUSK10 will save 10% and make it even a lot more affordable. Really look forward to putting this head to the test and seeing how it performs. The Tank Buster got the solid 10 ring. And with the Ravin, it got the bullseye. It took 285 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is a 9.15 on a 10-point scale. It penetrated right at 6 inches. It took an additional 25 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is a 9.5 on a 10-point scale. It penetrated through 53 layers, which is a 7.57 on a 10-point scale. And it's actually really good given the way that it flares out so wide so quickly. It rotated 55 degrees at 11 inches. It's in excellent condition after the 3 shots through the MDF. And still in flawless condition after the 2 shots through the steel plate. You really can't even tell it's been shot except for some cosmetic marking there. And look at these holes, man, this is just awesome. It's like, first of all, really wide, and then you got this 2 different S cuts from 2 different directional single bevel heads. You see that little short, wider S cut in the middle, and then the longer S cut. That's a really nice wound channel. Here's a good look at the tank buster after all the durability tests, and it held up perfectly well through the MDF and the 2 shots through the steel plate. You really couldn't even tell it had been shot. And then I shot it into the center block, and it did very well, except you notice that there's a bend in that leading blade and the end of the ferrule a little bit right there. And honestly, I probably need to take responsibility for that because this was the first shot I did into the center block with my new setup, and I didn't have the angle just perfectly flush. I tried to hit at a 90-degree angle, and it was a bit tilted the wrong way. And so I think that's why the bend, because I shot the blender, which I'll show in another review, and it didn't do that at all. And it's even a bit narrower there. So anyway, still, it's a fair test, and overall, it held up really well. I wouldn't let that bend discourage you about its durability whatsoever. Again, I think that's probably mostly me. Really impressive durability here. So what'd you think of the tank buster? Man, it's a good broadhead. You know what really stands out to me the most is its flight. Its flight for its cut size with a fixed blade broadhead is just exceptional. I mean, man, and then the blade thickness, the rotation, I could go on and on. There's so many great strengths about it, but this is a top tier broadhead. I've been so impressed with Trifecta over the years that I asked them if they'd give me a discount code that I could pass on to my viewers, and they did. So if you use LUSK10, LUSK10, you save 10% on any order. But hey, you check out the score sheet and see how this tank buster performed in the areas that matter to you the most, and see if it might be a good fit for you and your hunting needs. And stay tuned for the overall cumulative score, as well as the corresponding LUSK grade. And stay tuned for a list of all the discount codes I can offer, like for the Trifecta broadheads, but there's many others as well, just to help you save some money. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you next time.